Hey everybody, another great day in the house, in the hood. I'm gonna keep smiling. I don't care what they throw at me. Life has been throwing some stuff today and I am gonna take all of the negs and they're gone. Boom, they're not here. But I got some great stuff to share tonight. Tonight's session is going to be dedicated to two different places. One is ICAS, which is a school in Islamabad, Pakistan. I got contacted by the principal there, Ziba Raza, and the ICAS school in Islamabad. Hi, everybody. Glad you're here. Once upon a time, that school was the very first school in the world to take the unpublished Mouse and the Light fable that I read a few nights ago and turn it into a full-on school project. They made a quilt of the Mouse and the Light and then they performed it. And so tonight is dedicated to them. And so the first story that I'm going to read is kind of interesting because I had already picked this story first thing this morning. This is going to be the one I was going to read. It's called Searcher's Moving Experience, and it's about a bear, a papa bear and a little girl bear. But I had also ordered some honey today. So bears and honey, it's just that kind of day. I'd ordered honey because I was trying to support this awesome business in Colorado called Sweet Joe's. And they make this amazing honey that also has CBD oil in it, no cannabis, thank you, no THC. But with the amount of pain that I was in, being sick and coughing and with the body aches, it was really kept me going through that first like 4 or 5 days, and I ran out. And they called me today and told me that they were out of the one that I wanted and that they were upgrading me. Wow, so extra good honey. So Searcher's Moving Experience seemed to be the pick of the day. And I'd written it, mark you, 20 some odd years ago. And I find that living in a Navy town, it took on a whole new meaning. So for some Navy families, you may recognize a little bit of what it feels like to have to always be moving. I wrote it because my ex-husband always had us moving on our sailboat. We never were in the same place 2 days in a row for about 6 years. So Searcher's Moving Experience is about a bear. It was moving day, one of many in the life of Searcher Bear. He was a restless soul, and so being needed to change his digs rather often. But Papa, said his little Sacha, why must we leave? I don't want to leave all of my new friends. I don't want to be the new bear at school again this year. I want to stay. I want things to remain the way they are. The Papa Bear gave a big grunt. Things never stay the same, no matter how much you want them to, he said gruffly. Better to change it all by yourself than to have it sneak up and do you a mischief. Besides, if you want happiness, you have to go out and look for it. As always, little Sacha bit her lip and said no more. Ever since her mama bear had gone away to live in the sky, her papa had been different. He still loved her and hugged her, but now, when he looked at her, he seemed to be seeing something far away. My papa is like a jigsaw puzzle, she told her teacher one day. Only he can't get all put together because mama is the piece that is missing. When her teacher heard this, she gave Sacha Bear a big bear hug. That was 2 teachers ago. Sacha mused as she finished packing her little trunk. 2 neighborhoods and too many friends ago to think about. They moved to a new cave. It was very big and very nice, but Sacha didn't much care. She was learning not to get too attached to where she lived or whom she met. It was a hard thing for her to do. So she invented a game, the picture game. When Mama had gone away, all she had left were pictures in a scrapbook to remind her. So now, when she met someone new, she would draw their picture and put it into a little book that she made. She found that if she could think of the places as books and the new bears that she met as pictures in the books, then she could just close the book when it was time to leave and carry them all away with her. Unfortunately, Sacha became so comfortable with this system that she stopped making new friends or meeting anyone at all. She would just sit under a tree or at her desk at school and sketch everyone and everything around her. She didn't talk to anyone because she could not really write yet, and so she couldn't take their words and put them into her books. "How was school today?" Searcher asked in the evening. Sacha shrugged. "I haven't met any of your new friends yet," he said. "You should bring them to the cave and introduce them. I imagine you have many, many new playmates." Sacha shrugged again. This was disturbing for Searcher. His little girl was never rude or disobedient. She was outgoing and happy, just like her mother. But he brushed the thought of his beloved wife aside before it could hurt his heart some more. "Such a Hopewell bear. I ask you question, and it is time for an answer," he demanded. "Who are your friends, and why have I not met them?" Sacha looked away. What was she to tell her father? Should she tell him that all of her friends that she had were scattered all over the earth like seeds and were all growing without her? Should she tell him how lonely she was? Perhaps one day she would even be bold enough to ask if he had any friends. It was a thing that she often wondered about. "We haven't been here long enough, Papa," she said instead. "I have been too busy with my schoolwork and unpacking to meet too many friends. I will work on that, okay?" This seemed to satisfy him. He said, "Well, that's better. That wasn't such a hard thing to say, no, was it?" Ugh. But how it had been for Sacha. For Sacha had never lied to her father before. Time passed and the bears settled into their new home. But as the close of the first year drew near, Searcher began to make plans to find a new home. He was relieved that for once, Sacha had not argued with him over their upcoming move. Then came the call from the school. "Mr. Bear," said the principal, "I'm sorry to inform you that your daughter Sacha has been suspended from the class for 1 week for fighting in the play yard." If Searcher had not been sitting at the time, he surely would have needed a chair at that moment. His little angel in a fight? It had to be an error. It just had to be. If not an error, then he would get to the bottom of who would dare attack his child, for surely this must have been what had happened. Upon arriving at the principal's office, he was greeted with a horrible sight. His baby was huddled in the arms of some lady bear and was weeping bitter tears. "Give it back! Give it back! Back!" she moaned. Oh, he would surely kill who had brought her to this state. Oh, he could barely contain himself well enough to speak. Before he could reach her, the teacher intercepted him. "Please to come with me, sir," she said. He was having none of this. He would take his Sacha home, pack up and leave immediately. He knew he should never have stayed so long. But the teacher was firm, saying, "We must talk before you see your daughter." Moved by the seriousness of her tone, Searcher went with her. "Mr. Bear," she said, have you met any of Sacha's friends?" Puzzled and a bit miffed, he said, "No, I have not." Would you like to meet them?" the teacher said patiently. Now he was really angry. Did she think he was a bad father? Of course I would, he snapped. The teacher handed him a thick, hand-bound sheaf of paper. Here they are, she said. He snatched the book and he began to leaf through it, page by page. He recognized his daughter's drawing skills. He had recognized many of her old friends and some sketches from various homes that they'd lived in. This is a joke, he said. Sacha got into a terrible fight because one of the others took this book and began to look at the drawings, and Sacha went wild and attacked. She thinks that the pictures are real. She has substituted them for actual friends because she is afraid of losing them when you move away again. No. Oh, this couldn't be true. He would take her away from all this crazy talk. He threw the book into the trash basket by the desk. He stormed out of the office, pulled Sacha away from the one holding her, and he carried her home. Once they were home, Searcher told her that they would be leaving in the morning. When she asked about her book, he told her it was gone. You don't need a book, he said. What you need is some good mountain air. Yes, I knew that we should not have moved to a valley. So, up in the high mountain they moved. Sacha had not spoken one word all night and day. She simply stared up at the sky where she knew her mother lived. Weeks went by, and months, and still Sacha did not speak a word. At first, Searcher thought that this was because she was angry with him, but soon he realized something was terribly wrong. Searcher sat by the little brook that wound past their new cave, and he was worried to distraction. All right, what should I do? He said to the sky. You've taken my wife, and now you want to take my Sacha as well. All she does is stare up at the sky, day and night. It said, you search for the treasure that you yourself have buried. How would you know anything about me? He snarled at the water. Well, I am the water of life, it said. I have tried every way there is to reach you. I have showered you with love, and you have shaken me off. I have bathed you in my grace, and you have wallowed in the mud of self-pity. When you had the chance to drink me in, you choked and spat me out in favor of being drunk on your own power to control me. The water rose up into a tall column and then flattened out into a sort of screen. Searcher saw his daughter and her mother lying in a field of flowers and laughing. Now, this is a very strange image because Sacha was the age that she was now, not a cub, when her mother had been taken from them. Then the two of them began to float up and away. In a flash, he realized what he was seeing, and he leapt up and ran to the cave. Sacha sat outside of it, her eyes closed and her face tilted to the sky. Don't go, he cried. Please, baby, stay with Papa. Don't go. He heard the watery voice of the brook saying, things never stay the same. Better to change them yourself than to have them do you a mischief. Sacha is making her own change. Searcher knew what he had to do. He scooped Sacha up in his arms and ran with her to the brook. He waded in up to his waist and floated her on the surface. Lovingly, he poured cool water over her forehead and patted her eyes with it. I have come to you, he says to the water of life. I have brought my Sacha with me. Wash us clean of this terrible pain and fear. I will teach her to swim in you, and we will drink you in. I promise. I will never, ever shake you off again. We will stay here. We will not move ever again, for I have everything I need right here in my arms. With those words, Sacha stirred. Her eyes opened and focused on him. I missed you, she said. Have we found our happiness? Searcher cried with relief and joy at having his daughter back. Then he laughed and gave them both a dunking. When they surfaced, Sacha laughed. Are we really staying here, Papa? Will I make real friends I can keep forever? Yes, my child, Searcher said. He took her hand and placed it on the surface of the water. This is someone I want to introduce you to. A friend who will never leave you. One who will always listen, who is everywhere at once. Knowing this friend, you will never be lonely again. So his search ended when he found where he had once begun. We are sticking with the water theme today. We had a lot of rain. Sort of took me there. Plus, I'm kind of feeling like we need to be cleansed of all the negativity. And at this point, I'm ready to just roll with water. So this one, our final story for tonight, is called The Well. The well, made of heavy gray stones, cracks filled with mortar and moss, stood in the middle of a garden. It stood through storms, wind, and time. It was not a well of ordinary water, but was called the Well of Souls. For some it held unending joy. Others found peace in its depths. Some found only sorrow, but one found strength. Elena had never been to the well. She had only heard of it from others who visited to find joy and peace. Now she came not to take, but to give her sorrow away to the deep water, for someone had broken her heart. Elena sat by the well as the sun streamed down upon it, and she cried her tears into its depths. She could hear them land like raindrops on a pond, and the sound made her cry all the more. The well, which had always been silent, was so moved by Elena's tears, it spoke to her in a deep and calming voice. "What has brought you here today?" the voice asked. "Why do you come and add to my darkness and not draw from the joy I behold?" Elena pushed the tears back on her cheeks with her fingertips, and she rocked and closed her eyes as she spoke. I had one so dear to me that she was like my right arm, and she betrayed me, Elena said. I trusted her to always be true, and instead she's done me and mine a great and a terrible, terrible harm. The well said, people often lose their hearts in the day-to-day world. Some harm those they love. Sometimes they find their hearts again. Sometimes they do not. Elena kept her eyes shut tight and cried bitter tears again, saying, having such a friend in my life gave me peace and joy. Oh, well, I never needed you before now. But now that I'm here, I just can't find the strength to draw from you. Sometimes all you have to do is ask for strength in order to be given it, the well said. It takes less than you think. Listen. The well was silent for a moment, and then came a sound like water raining on silver bells. Now, come and look upon me, the well said. Look into my depths and see something beautiful. For at this moment, you need to see and remember something very good in the world. Elena opened her eyes and looked at the well, which was giving off a white glow of light that was nearly silver in itself. She placed her hand on the cool stone and was surprised to find that it wasn't cool at all. It was warm and dry, not clammy and wet, as she had expected it to be. Then Elena peered over the edge and down into the well, where she saw water that sparkled like sapphires in the sun, the powerful smell of something clean and fresh. Filled her senses, and she could feel the warmth of the stones spreading through her. The water bell sound continued to play as the voice spoke again. Troubles, fears, sadness, all these tell. Then draw back what you lost when you go to the well. Elena listened to this, and her grief fell away. She began to tell away all of her pain to the well. The well absorbed it all, and when Elena could speak no more, the well said, Lower the bucket into the water and draw it up again. Elena had not seen the silver bucket hanging from the rope. Now she took it and did as she was told, surprised to find that she had so much strength. She drew up a bucket of the clearest, freshest water. When she looked into the bucket, she did not see her reflection, but that of her friend. Then she saw all the times they had spent talking, laughing, sharing. Then Elena saw herself alone. Then Elena saw the world, people in it that she had never seen clearly before. She saw her family and other friends. She saw the sunrise and the sunset. She saw flowers, snows, and all that life has to offer. Now drink, said the well to Elena, and Elena drank and felt the brightness of the water fill her. Now use the water to wash away your tears, said the well, and Elena washed away her tears and the streaks of dirt that her hands had made on her face. Then she looked up again, and the world looked bright as the water. Thank you, Elena said to the well. I wish I could bring my friend here to you and make her see as I do now, the well said. Tell all you know to come to the well when they are empty and in need. But I warn you, don't expect them. You do not be disappointed if they don't find what you've drawn out this day. Elena was confused. Why is that? The well said, you can lead your friends here. You can tell them of my wonders and power. But I am afraid they will not drink simply because you recommend that they do so. Each takes out according to what they are willing to put in. You gave all, so you received all. Elena considered for a moment. All right, then I will not force them. I will simply go back and show them how changed I am. Then perhaps they will want to be changed. Then they will come and find what wonders can be drawn from you. The well's answer came back in a new burst of water bell music. Then it said, I will help you in your mission. Take a step back. The well said. There was a very deep rumbling, and the ground shook. A great geyser of water shot from the well up into the sky. On that warm, clear, and sunny afternoon, a light rain fell from the sky, refreshing all around, the very first sun shower. And from that day to this, whenever Elena told the tale to a new listener, a warm rain would fall from a clear blue sky. So the next time you are caught in a sun shower, perhaps you'll remember the tale of the well and think of what it may hold for you. That one. Oh, look, we have Kitty. Say hello, Pandora. Pandora's having a day. So that one was for myself. It was also for anyone out there who's maybe had a tough time with a friend and finding it difficult to forgive them. Right? Yes, it's true. I love you all. Have a great night.